Hello and welcome to my meditation. My name is Debra Baker and I am so glad that you have joined us for this little while. We are working our way through my book, Amazing Intuition, Expanding Your Most Important Resource, and we are on chapter 5 today, which is about getting in touch with psychic emotions, meaning picking up on emotions psychically, intuitively. So let's get started. Let's begin by taking 3 nice, really deep breaths. Just the first one, just breathe into your chest. Feel your chest expand. Hold it for as long as is comfortable, and then when you're ready, just blow it out slowly. And now breathe into your chest and your upper back and feel your entire rib cage expand. And hold that for a moment, as long as it's comfortable. And when you're ready, let that go. And now take the deepest breath you've taken all day, breathing into your rib cage and your belly. Just fill up your lungs. Feel it. Just notice how good it feels to have your lungs be expanded. And then when you're ready, just let it go really, really, really slowly. And let's relax our bodies, just kind of all at once, because we've got a lot to cover today. And in case you're wondering what that noise is, it's Daisy. I think she's got the hiccups. She's in the room with me. So let's push our feet and ankles, knees and legs together, and then pull your pelvic floor up, kind of squeeze in your lower abs, your abdominal muscles, pull your arms to your sides, make your hands into fists, draw them up to your shoulders. This is all just to get ready. Tuck your chin slightly. Pull your chest forward, or your shoulders forward. And now squeeze everything to the center line with this next breath cycle. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Feel your back expand. Hold it all as long as it's comfortable, and then let it all go. Just take a moment. You increase the blood flow through your body. So take a moment to notice how good that feels. And this is a meditation, so let's just take a moment to relax. Guess I'm sitting in a squeaky chair. So whether you're lying on a bed or sitting up in a chair or lying on a sofa or the floor, wherever, yoga mat, just feel your whole body get heavy and let go. And so I have an entire chapter on psychic emotions or feelings because it is extremely useful to be able to pick up on what someone else is feeling. And we all do it all the time. But when we're aware of it, then we can use that information. So the way I think is helpful, or one of the ways I think is helpful to tune into it, is to tune into yourself. So relax, feel your breathing slow down, and now just notice your head, neck, and shoulders. And this is where we feel anger, frustration, stress. And so notice if you're feeling anything in that area. Are your jaws tight from clenching them, or is your neck tight, especially the back of your neck? Your shoulders glued to your ears? notice if you're feeling any anger or stress, tension. And now think about a time when you felt angry. Something didn't go your way, or life was just coming at you too fast, or somebody did something inappropriate or hurtful, and you felt angry. Can you imagine where in your head, neck, and shoulders, or how you would feel that? And maybe you were already feeling anger. If not, the antidote for it is to be aware of it, to ask yourself, what is this anger? And I used to notice it when someone that I used to live with would come home very angry, and man, I could just feel it. The back of my neck would just seize up. And I think all of us can feel it when somebody is angry. And we don't necessarily feel it as anger. Sometimes we feel it as our own fear, depending upon how this person controls and deals with their own anger. But it's helpful to know. And so the way to release the anger for yourself is to just breathe into it. Let your neck grow a little longer, your shoulders get heavy. Erase all expression from your face and relax it. Acknowledge what you're feeling, and then relax your body and allow the feeling to move on, to be expressed and then released. And now let's move down to your chest. So between the base of your neck and the bottom of your rib cage, or maybe not quite the bottom of your rib cage, 2/3 of the way down on your rib cage, your chest and upper back. And this is our heart chakra. This is where we feel sadness, sorrow. So first notice if you're feeling any sadness or sorrow. And sometimes sadness and sorrow can show up as heartburn, or kind of tension around your collarbone or your shoulder blades. Emotions always show up in our bodies, which provides very useful information. So if you are with someone, or someone approaches you, a loved one, a friend, whatever, and you just feel this stab in your heart, probably what you are feeling is their sorrow, their sadness. And so whether it's your own or someone else's, it's really powerful to validate it. In whatever words come naturally to you. You know, whether it's, man, if I were going through that, I think I'd be feeling really sad. Or I wonder if there's some sadness here. The words "I wonder" are very powerful because they're non-judgmental. So just breathe into your own heart space. And if you are feeling sadness, sorrow, I remember after my father died, it felt like my chest would crack open. Actually, the worst was when I found out that he had inoperable cancer and it was going to be terminal. And I just remember my whole body just crumpled. I just sank to the floor because it was such upsetting news. When you think about crying, you know, the energy from the crying comes from our chest, you know, and sometimes we wail and we make noise, especially babies and children make a lot of noise when they cry. noise comes from. The vocal cords, and the air for those vocal cords comes from our chest. So if you're feeling any sadness or sorrow, or mark this, remember this for the future, first validate it, acknowledge it, make it okay for you to be feeling whatever it is you're feeling, and then breathe into it. So check your shoulders, are they being pulled forward too much? Do you need to bring your shoulders back a little to feel more in alignment? When we pull our shoulders back, we open our chest, and it's kind of like this metaphor for opening up your heart to release whatever you're feeling. So just validate that everything's okay. And that when we feel sorrow and sadness, it's usually because we loved something or someone. And what a blessing it is to love something or someone. And now check in with your gut. You know where your gut is. You don't need me to tell you, but I will. Which is right around your navel, right around your belly button, your midsection. And that's where we feel fear. When somebody comes into the room and they're angry, sometimes you feel fear, like, yikes, what's going to happen next? Are they going to say something mean, or stomp or throw something, or who knows, Those are worst case scenarios, but, it's not pleasant to be around other people's unexpressed emotions. So it's a natural response to be fearful. Or maybe you're thinking about the future and feeling this knot in your stomach, butterflies in your stomach. All of those are descriptions for feeling fear. And so, of course, we acknowledge our fear. I am feeling fearful that, or I'm afraid that. And whatever it is that you're feeling, it's valid because it's your emotion. I think it's much kinder to say, I understand you're feeling fearful, and yet let me give you some reasons why I think it'll be okay. It's much kinder than saying, oh, don't be afraid. That is an invalidation of emotions, and that's not how we want to be with ourselves or anyone else. So the last emotion, we've been through anger and sorrow and fear, and now we're going to talk about shame for a moment. And where we typically feel shame is in our pelvis, so lower back, lower abdomen, even pelvic floor, or in our extremities. So let's just focus on the pelvis and the first two chakras. So we feel shame because we're human sometimes. And, somewhere along the line, somebody got this crazy idea that we should be perfect and we shouldn't make mistakes and, we should be flawless. And those are, ideas that are unattainable as a human being. And so feeling shame for not being able to attain something that is impossible to attain is fruitless, and yet we have that message coming at us all the time. And the second chakra is where we hold the sexual energy, the procreative energy, and there's so much shame about sexuality. And nobody quite knows where the healthy place is. Or maybe we all decide for ourselves. And I won't get into the decision. What I want to talk about is being aware of the shame. And, you know, I've been ashamed of things in my life. I was so ashamed of the situation in my house growing up. I never told anyone. And, you know, so whatever it is that, you know, when I talk shame comes to mind, just validate it for yourself. You know, children are powerless over their families and their life situations, and yet they don't know that, and so they feel ashamed of it rather than, you know, feeling validated. Yes, you feel ashamed, but it's not your fault. You didn't create it. You're not perpetuating it. It's out of your hands. So when we validate shame, I think there are two levels of shame. One is that kind of momentary, I feel ashamed that I just hung up on somebody or whatever. And you can kind of, you know, clear that pretty quickly as soon as you admit, I feel ashamed about that. And the other one is that deep shame that comes from childhood that pretty often we're not even aware of. But let's be open to the possibility that the power greater than us, the one presence in the power, can move in through and as us to release any of these emotions, even deeply held emotions that have been there for years. And so breathing into all the way down to your tailbone, into your pelvis, breathing into your arms and legs, and giving yourself the message that all is well, and all is well, because it is. And so, talking about the book, being aware of these emotions and where you feel them in the body, and figuring out how to, you know, metabolize them in a healthy way for yourself, and to validate and be a safe observer of other people's emotions. Makes for a happier life. So let's take another deep breath, breathing all the way through the head, neck, and shoulders, the chest, the gut, and the pelvis and extremities. Knowing that when we release the emotions, we feel peace and calm and centered and grounded. And a deep and profound sense of well-being. So thank you very much for joining us today, giving yourself permission to feel your emotions, to experience them, and to process them and release them, both for your own benefit and working through your experience of other people's emotions. Let's take one more deep, deep breath. And let me remind you that you are whole and perfect exactly as you are. And that's not some human sense of perfection. It's a profound and deep spiritual sense of perfection, which your soul is. Your infinite self is perfect, whole and perfect. And the human expression of it is just that, the human expression. So the one presence moving in, through, and as me honors and recognizes the one presence and the one power moving in, through, and as you. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.